bit more clarification on this team. So as we do each and every Sunday, we go to Scott Grayson of Fox 29 News. Of course, you can read his Grayson's grades on 97.3ESPN.com. Let's go to the Barb's Harley Davidson Sports Hotline and welcome into the locker room, Scott Grayson. What's up, Scotty?
Hey, guys. Good to talk to you again.
Well, a close one. The Eagles pulled it out. I mean, you know, Ken just said that the Eagles have been really gutting it out against Baltimore and Pittsburgh, and they just squeaked by the Giants, and they suffered 2 more injuries.
Yeah, and they're going to be hard to overcome. You know, you get these guys back, too, and then they're out just that quickly. And that's been a problem for this team, obviously. And, you know, it's a problem for a lot of teams. But, you know, they've found a way to kind of overcome that. And, look, I thought they'd have an easier time with the Giants. But then, you know, you stop and think about it. You're talking about a division opponent. You're talking about those division games always tend to be tougher. Familiarity breeds contempt. They all know each other well. And that's something that you just have to overcome. And, you know, the problem I have is that why Deshaun Jackson got hurt. It's his first game back. Why did Doug put him back there to take the risk of a potential injury on a punt return? You know the guy's fragile. He's just coming back. And it was a bad hit. It was an ugly play. There's no doubt about it on the Giants' part. And I get why he's there. He's trying to break the home run ball and win the game. But that being said, to me, what Deshaun gave you by being on the field was not worth the risk to take on a punt return.
We're talking with Scott Grayson, Fox 29 News. Of course, you catch him every Monday with Mike Gill and the Sports Bash for Grayson's Grades. And there was the good, the bad, the ugly of this game. Carson Wentz throws another interception. The offensive line, I thought, played pretty well, but apparently wasn't graded out that high. There are some positives. There are some negatives. What's one positive that you saw, Scott, and give me one negative?
Well, the biggest positive to me is that this team always fights, and that's the credit to, I think, Doug Peterson being able to keep these guys fighting. Because you look, I'm going to be watching closely what goes on in Dallas. That's a locker room that's not necessarily looking to me or sounding to me right now like a team that's going to fight. And if they get behind early, I think that can get ugly there in Washington. But, you know, you talk about the positive I see is that this team will fight. They will continue to fight throughout the game. They never feel like they're out of it. And they had that kind of mentality against Pittsburgh. They had that mentality against Baltimore. And they had that mentality here. And I think that's the biggest characteristic of a team that you want to see that throughout the season is going to compete for this division title. Now, the negative to me is that they just cannot put together a 3, let alone a 4-quarter game. And they've got to find a way to do that if they're going to start to create a little bit of distance between them and the other teams in their division. They haven't done it all season, and they got to find a way to do that. The defense, to me, one of the biggest problems I have with this defense is that they're bending and breaking. In the past, Jim Schwartz has always had a defense that bent, gave up yardage. They'd let a team get down the field, but then they'd hold, and they'd hold them to field goals. And so that's the biggest thing I need to see out of this defense, really, as they try to go forward, is not giving up the touchdowns so much. You might give up a couple, one here, one there, but limit the opponent to field goals when they get down the field. They're not doing that, and it's costing them a lot of points.
Go ahead, Ken.
Yeah, Scotty, I want to go back to your Deshaun Jackson. I'm going to disagree with you a little bit. You know, you're 1-4-1. Okay, you get an explosive player back. You've got to win a football game. If Deshaun Jackson didn't want to be back there, he wouldn't have been back there. And from Doug Peterson's standpoint,
I lost him.
We lost him. Go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, I think I lost Ken, too.
Go ahead, Bill. You talk.
Yeah, okay. So you know, I understand where Ken's coming from with that, Scott, but I kind of tend to agree with you. You know, that you need to win the game, but I wouldn't put all that much effort. Like, I wouldn't have let him do it. I think he was probably begging Peterson to put him back there. No, you know, if I know Deshaun, like I think I know him, what type of player he is.
Yeah,
but I would have put him back there.
I get that, and I think I got the gist of what Ken was saying too. To where I would my answer was going to be this: if they all felt that Deshaun was that important, why didn't they use him much after that first drive? he was invisible for a large part of that game, and that's been part of Doug's history. He has a good opening drive, has a good script, and goes away from what was working and never comes back to it until the fourth quarter. Sometimes that's too late, and I get the thought, but it was also the first game back, and they were going to have a big game against Dallas coming up too, and you got to get Deshaun's wheels under him again. And no matter how much he's begging to come in at that point, I think Doug's got to look at him and say, I understand, but I need you on offense right now, and I need you to stay healthy.
Ken, are you with us?
I think I'm back.
Yeah, you're back. You want to add to that since we lost you?
Yeah, I mean, I made my point, I think, and Scott addressed it. I just feel like, it's desperation time for a team that needs a win. So, having a playmaker back there is a big deal, and I can criticize Doug about a lot of what he's done this year. I thought his play calling thus far this season has been not up to par compared to what he's done in previous seasons. But that's the Deshaun Jackson thing back there. I'm going to give him a pass on. I do think it was a borderline play, and I did not read whether the league addressed that or not yet with that offending player, but probably should have been some sort of a fine.
I would
and now,
agree with that.
you guys,
I'm
looking to the future. Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
I'm sorry, we
Billy.
stepped on each other. Real quick, we got about a minute or two left. Guys, looking at the future here, I mean, this team is 2-4-1 in first place, and their next two games are winnable. They could, in the next two games, of course, they get the bye in the middle, but their next two games, they could be 4-4-1. But then the next 5 games, I don't know if you guys looked down at this schedule, but it is tough.
It is, but the biggest thing I think for any team in the NFC East right now, it's going to take a historic run almost to really have to get a wild card. You just have to win the division. So how do you win this division? You win this division by winning the division games. If the Eagles can win the rest of their division games, they'd finish their division play 5-1. You have the win at San Francisco in your pocket. That gives you 6. That might win the division there. Just win one more game somewhere else, and you likely put it away. That's all it takes. So the biggest thing to me to say to this team is, okay, well, they don't want to just get to the playoffs. They want to try to make some noise. Well, this team, in my opinion, if they can find a way to be healthy as they go down the last 2 weeks of the season or so, they're a team that is going to be seeded 4th. They would have a home playoff game, likely play the top wild card out of the NFC West. That team's got to travel all the way across the country, and I guarantee you they don't want to play the Eagles in that situation. The Eagles will not be what their record says they are if they are healthy. But they got to get there, and that's proving to be a very big challenge, and they've got to win these games against their division opponents. To me, that's the formula for success. They're capable of doing it. And, again, keep an eye on this game in Washington today. Dallas, there's been finger-pointing going on. These guys don't believe in their head coach right now. And if they lose today, I think it's full-blown nuclear, bomb going off in that locker room, and they're going to be a disaster when the Eagles play them next week.